EIDL grant is back on, baby. The EIDL grant returns under the third stimulus package, but people who did not get paid their EIDL grant under the first stimulus package are getting paid as well. SBA.gov is sending out an email to recipients or applicants to the 2020 EIDL process, saying the remainder $10,000 EIDL grant is now being paid. So how do you get the EIDL grant? What is the EIDL loan? It's one application for both, but the questions and answers are very straightforward when you know how to do them. Enjoy this Overnights LATE video throwing back and explaining how to get the EIDL, whether it's the grant or the loan, on Overnights LATE. EIDL loans heat up, but will you need them even more than ever as a second stimulus debate continues to roll on? Hey, good evening, everybody. This is LATE with Evenings LATE. Hope you're good and safe. This is our last program of the day. It's our 1 hour programming block of Evenings LATE that starts at 6:45 every day. It starts with a check and then goes to EIDL loans. The number one comment I'm getting overnight on EIDL loans, besides my shirts, are how much money do I need, LATE? And I've seen a lot of comments and I understand what's going on. Let me get right to the point. The issue is liquidity. A lot of businesses are now seeing even more than ever that they need more money as the pandemic rolls on. We're only at August, and the pandemic expected to get worse. More lockdowns are expected, more inability to make operating budgets, and more people are seeing they need more debt to survive into next year. The situation is requiring people to reassess how much money they got initially from SBA and to go back and consider the situation again. What's going on? The following is what's happening. One, people who had never considered EIDL loans are now applying for EIDL loans. More about that in a second. Second, people who never thought of getting a big chunk of money are asking for more money. More about that in a second. And then finally, people are trying to figure out if that cap, and if there's a cap, is going to be lifted. And if so, when? Let me start with the last point. I have seen a lot of people in the private, which is in the descriptions below, talk about that they have a loan from EIDL, but they need more money, or that they are on the brink of getting their loan approved or funded and they still want more money. And so that they have reached out to SBA and said, give me more money. And SBA said, I want to, but I can't. What's going on? I detailed this yesterday, and minutes ago I got a private message from a viewer in the private in which he or she actually showed me a correspondence from one of our contacts in the private at SBA addressing the issue of an alleged cap. Yes, SBA is currently maintaining there is a cap of $150,000 for an SBA loan for EIDL. That cap was not initially there. There has been urges from members of Congress and letters from members of Congress and bills from members of Congress to unleash that cap. The cap was not in the CARES Act. It's something that's created internally, probably by the wonderful Kimberly Butler. If you're not new to this channel, her background is sort of infamous at this point in the history of this channel. Basically drafting things that had nothing to do with the CARES Act. And so a lot of viewers are wondering what's going to happen. Well, in this message that the viewer got from SBA represented to the viewer that there is a cap of 150, but maybe it will be lifted in the new stimulus package. Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, what is that person talking about? So there is no talk about EIDL in the second stimulus package. It's just not there. I've done that video yesterday and the day before. Second stimulus had nothing in there for lending whatsoever, no loans. In fact, the Democrats of their $3 trillion second stimulus package proposed no loans or grants for purposes of businesses. Now, there was a grant for rent, but there was hazard pay, but there was nothing for for business loans or grants. There was no EIDL. There was no grant, $10,000 grant, or remainder of your $10,000 grant, or more loans. So why would this SBA representative say that's going to get included? It's simply not true. What did happen yesterday, as reported first on this channel, and this is really great news, is that PPP will get extended under the second stimulus package when it's approved, because that agreement has been reached. The Democrats proposed no loans in the second stimulus package that they authored, the HEROES Act. The Republicans said that's not going to work. You got to have some loans. Marco Rubio came out and said, hey, we need more debt. These businesses are about to close. They don't have enough debt. They don't have enough liquidity going to 2021. They need more debt or the entire economy is going to collapse. So Nancy and Chuck, who, according to Mitch's assessment, like to spend money like water, were asked to spend more money by the people who don't want to spend the money. Yeah, that's how weird it's getting now. And they said, okay, we'll spend more money for you after you just said we spend too much money. And so they agreed to more PPP money. Here's what's interesting. If you're a business and you're interested in getting PPP money, have not applied for the current round of PPP, there is a little bit of time to maybe get your application on file for the current round of PPP. I did a lot of videos on PPP where there's Lendio or Cabbage or something Trust Family, something Circle. There was a couple of very quick turnaround companies for getting PPP approved. But if you take a little bit longer and you haven't reached out to your local credit union, your local bank, then the next round of second stimulus package, when it's approved, and you're like, when is it get approved, LA, will have PPP money in there. What you need to consider then is if you have an EIDL loan and you're at the cap, or you can't qualify for an EIDL loan, or you've exhausted EIDL, there's no more money in EIDL for you currently, then you can consider PPP. They work one and one together. Don't not consider PPP. You can go get that. I have a lot of viewers who got PPP and EIDL together, and it worked very well for them. So that's the really great news. Next, viewers who are trying to increase their PPP money, their EIDL money. If you didn't watch my video earlier today, I said that your stimulus check is coming in March. It's one of those days. My nails are still here. Are your nails still here? It's just a nail biter. The issue about increasing your loans is very critical. So a lot of you have loans and you want to increase them. How do you do it? You go into the private, you contact Recon, you go to the Recon tab and you reach out to Recon and say, hey, I want to increase my loan. The way you increase your loan is understanding two things. One, your Experian Vantage 3.0 score is over 590, and two, that you qualify for a higher loan amount. What is the higher loan amount calculated based upon? 2019 earnings minus cost of goods sold divided by 2. So you take your 2019 earnings, whether it's individual or business, whatever is applying for it, it's line 1 on the return, Schedule C or 1120S, whichever one you're using, pull line 1 minus line 2, which is cost of goods sold, COGS, divided by 2 equals the amount. That amount is the one amount that SBA is lending. Now, they will go higher. They have gone higher. It's very frequent for them to go higher, but they won't go above 150. So if you're at 80, you do the calculation, it comes out to $200,000. Congratulations, you'll get 150, but you won't get $200,000. Next, you've heard about EIDL. You never applied, and you think, maybe I can go get that EIDL. Okay, so what do you want to do? EIDL is currently a lending instrument. It's only a loan. There's no grant. It's not free money. It's not money that's in your pocket. You don't have anything to do about it. There's good news about EIDL. It is money that is not repayable in the first year, so it's interest-free and principal-free. You get the money. You don't have to pay it back in the first year. It's a 30-year loan, so you don't have to pay anything in the first year, and over 30 years, you pay it back progressively. 3.75% fixed rate. So that's really good. And if you take a loan under $25,000, it's not collateralized. I've had a lot of viewers in the last few days say, oh my God, this collateralization. I had one viewer in the comments to yesterday's video say, I heard they changed the collateralization rules. No. No, the contract is still the same. The collateralization rules are still there. and they will collateralize you and have you sign a collateralization agreement, and they will enforce the collateralization agreement if you don't pay the loan. If you have no problem paying the loan over the next 30 years, there's nothing to worry about. But if you think you do, they could come and take your collateral. And that is something that some viewers don't want to do. Next, the other way to get around this sort of 150 cap, which is sort of the theme of this video, is to consider your other businesses. A lot of people haven't thought about applying for an EIDL loan for their other businesses. They can if they're impacted by COVID-19. Separate EIN, separate business address, separate, tax return, separate cost of goods sold and revenue, or your individual return if you are Schedule C. Let's say you're an Uber Lyft driver. I never thought of applying for an Uber Lyft driver EIDL loan. Well, you can go do it. Schedule C. Finally, a lot of people are saying, I don't work. Can I go get an EIDL loan? No. God bless you. I just do some things here and there. Can I go get a loan? No. That's sort of like what Blaine66 does. He does a little bit of nothing. Can he get a loan? No. Finally, grant. Boy, some people keep on sending me messages about letters that Congress is writing and bills that people are drafting and asking me to comment. I mean, I've made my comment about that before. I'm not the patron saint of Congress. So I have told you my opinion about congressmen. I'm going to say it again. They write these letters. They got 25 people who put a signature on a three-paragraph letter that took 20 minutes to write. And they want to take the letter and put it on a frame and put it on a billboard and say, look at all this wonderful work we did for you. All you did was write a letter. It doesn't mean anything to me. I write very good letters as well. Just because you wrote a letter doesn't mean anything to me. And so a lot of people are just making a lot of nothing about a letter. Now, I've done it before, freely, I admit. I have done videos very early on where I said, okay, here's a letter to Javita, and Javita didn't follow, and here's another letter to Javita. And yeah, I did that. But to sit back and say that something's going to happen from a letter is a whole different ball of wax. No. Javita and SBA is not going to do anything based upon a letter. They have gotten, I've been around since April 25th with this channel. I think I've covered like 10 times she's gotten letters from Congress. She's never responded or done anything in response to a letter. She just does what she wants to do. Next, people are writing bills and introducing bills to Congress. Well, they're not being voted upon. Are they trying to push them to a congressional hearing and have them voted upon? They're having 5 people sign and co-sign the bill that is bipartisan. Good. Congratulations. Are you trying to get it voted upon? Are you trying to get any movement for the bill? And then there's this. Someone then asked further comment from me, and this was my comment. I said, unless you have a congressional oversight committee embedded in the bill's language, good luck. Because ultimately what you're going to have is another bill passed, like the CARES Act. It's going to tell Javita and SBA to do something. They're not going to do it. And then there's going to be 5,000 other new EIDL YouTube videos that say, look, she didn't do it again. She violated the new act, the November 2020 act, and she didn't file. You see this coming. She doesn't care to follow anything, and that's the nature of, I'm not going to call her a beast, but that's the nature of the situation, that the SBA does not care to follow congressional rules. And so you can talk as much as you want to your blue in the face about congressional bills, but unless there's a provision of the bill that there's congressional oversight that enforces SBA's compliance with the act, that holds the holds the inspector general, whatever Javita's title is at SBA, personally responsible, then then you just pass another bill. She's just gonna, make a scarf out of your bill. And she's gonna go down to the printer. It's like, hey, I got this bill. Can you make a pattern out of it for another scarf for me? That's literally what she's gonna do. I'm not exaggerating. They don't care what you say to them. Ultimately, as we go into Friday, there's going to be a nail biter. I'll be here. We'll be here. Join me tomorrow morning. Mornings at LLH, starting at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. I got to tell you, between today and next Monday, you got to subscribe. You got to go to this channel and hit the subscribe button at the front of this channel and hit the like button, the alarm, that little bell, because a lot of stuff's going to happen. I just, it's literally going to be this sort of like, ooh, it's going to be this sort of a moment in which everything's going to hit very quickly. Let's hope it hits the right way. That's where we are. As always, stay informed, stay motivated, stay inspired, and save LA for more.